Is Janet from another planet? 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 another planet? Is Janet from 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 another planet?
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality. Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality.
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
Is Janet from another planet? 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 Is Janet?
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality.
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality. Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources.
So, guys, how's it going? Another day. What a day, what a deal, what a day. More everything's going on and nothing's going on, right? It's never quiet and it's never too out of control, or is it? Who knows? But anyway, I'll get into this whole concept. I know I talked to who's in here now. I talked to some of yous last night, like Summer and all that, Chris, uh, about my thoughts on this. Everybody's buddy diligence seems to be miking me up often in that space. So I'm thankful for that, because I think I'm trying to present more level-headed stuff than just flipping out. And I'm hoping, guys, I'm not saying I speak for any of you, that I interact with a lot, but I think we agree more than we disagree. And I'm hoping if I go up in the big shot spaces and get a mic, I'm hopefully representing many of you too, who don't have the time or don't care to go in those spaces. And I think it's important that somebody goes in there that presents a different view, particularly on this, but not for the sake of presenting a different view, not to be a contrarian, but I think that there is an underestimation of how important this is to MAGA. Um, and by that I mean I don't know if it's as important as it's being portrayed. The subject matter itself, which I'm going to get into, because I never really talked about this I was never like an Epstein guy. It's not because it doesn't have significance, and it's not because obviously nobody thinks it's anything but an abomination. That's not the point. The point is correlating that to exactly how much retroactive justice you think you're going to see, because I kind of saw the Epstein situation. There's two events, and I'll get into those right off the top. There's two events in regards to Epstein where I thought that it was going to be a lot of dead ends, not just for Trump, but for anybody, any future Republican president that wanted to look into this. I think that there were a degree of dead ends here. Uh, one of which, first of all, somebody murdered the guy. Okay, so there you go. Now, normally you wouldn't have to go any farther than that, but this is a different case, so different set of standards apply. Number two is when Ghislaine Maxwell, who I really think is the most important in all of this, the way her arrest was so scripted by a very corrupt FBI, and she got arrested in a little town up north from me called Bradford, New Hampshire, of all places, in a state, and it was almost scripted. Right? It was, and look where she is. She's got 20 years. She's in a country club facility, minimal security, yoga classes, basically a spa resort is where she's going to be spending the next 20 years. By the way, she'll be about 80 years old when she gets out. So, uh, just to give you some perspective, she was not a young woman, Maxwell. It's my belief that she was always the real brains behind this operation, behind the honeypot. So when people bemoan the fact that there's no Epstein client list, there is, and it's in Ghislaine Maxwell's head, guys, where all the blackmail is, all the names, all the players. I mean, does she have exact logistical dates from the flight logs? No, but it doesn't really matter when you have the names and you have the list of atrocities that they've committed, and so dead end number one, Epstein was murdered. Nobody thinks Epstein killed himself. The same people who would think that Epstein killed himself are the same people who would think, basically, and we have to treat him this way, guys, that O.J. Simpson didn't kill his ex-wife. I mean, that's the level it's at. It's absurd to think that he hung himself. Okay? Now, I don't know how important it is that we actually find it, because it really isn't. I mean, whether it was a guard who murdered him, whether somebody snuck in there and murdered him in New York, I don't know how relevant that is, because it's not going to bring justice for all these traumatized women and children that were trafficked, and all the people that were wrongfully blackmailed, uh, that he and his network affected. Right. So I don't obsess about the details, because the guy's pushing up daisies. How he got there at this point on July 8th, 2025 is kind of inconsequential, right? I can guarantee you, whomever did the deal with him, you have no, if I could say his name is Edward Smith, none of you would have a fucking clue who he is. It's not going to be a household name. It's not going to be anybody you guys know. So again, I'm not exactly sure the relevance of it today. Was it relevant 2 days after the murder? Yes. Is it relevant now? No, it isn't, guys. It's just not. Okay, it's not anybody that's going to do hard time. We don't even know if that person's still alive. Okay, so it's a good 50-50 chance that they might not be. And you know why that is. So there's that situation. Now, as far as the fallout of all this, I sat back for 2 days or a day and a half. I listened to everybody vent. Everybody's pissed at Trump. Everybody thinks he's going to lose the midterms because of this. I don't agree with that. I think that there is and people have said this about other subjects. There are people on X and there are people in real life. And the people in real life outnumber the people on X. Don't take my word for it. There's 350 million Americans, 77 million of which voted for Trump in the fall. All right. How many users on X are there in the United States en masse? I don't even know the number. If anybody knows the number, you want to AI the answer for me. How many Americans are on this X platform? And you got to remember, some people aren't on here for politics and X spaces and conversations about our government. Some people are on here for sports. Some people are on here for cooking. Some people are on here for porn. Some people are on here for movies. It's not, we so falsely presume that every Trump voter is on here to fucking sit in spaces and argue with liberals. It's not true. All right. Especially those of you in red states. So if anybody in here is in like Oklahoma or Iowa or Indiana or Ohio or Janet, you're in Arkansas. I see you up here. You guys are in red state MAGA Central. When you go to your local Walmart or you go to the park or you go to the beach or you go to the movies or do whatever you have to do, go to Costco. Nobody's going to be talking about Epstein. Those are the people that vote for Trump. Okay. So okay, fine. 90% of MAGA Twitter is pissed about this. It's not, that doesn't mean 90% of Trump's base is pissed about this. I didn't hear a single person talk about it yesterday or really since Sunday in my sphere of influence in real life. Nobody in my family talked about it. Uh, I didn't talk to, but I was texted with a buddy of mine who I talk news with. Never mentioned it. In fact, he's never talked about Epstein to me at all. Okay. So you need to keep a healthy perspective on all this, guys, because people are having a meltdown on X about this. And some of it's justified, and I'll get to that next. That is not real life. This make no mistake, this will have zero impact on the midterms. Less than zero. You understand it's a year and a half away. Look at the kinetic news world we're in. There's going to be more scandal, more palace intrigue, more Game of Thrones, more legislation, more of Trump fighting with Congress, vice versa. The DOJ having big time investigations, fentanyl busts, mass deportations, riots in Democrat cities. Guys, every single day, the news changes. And this Epstein thing will die out like an ember on a fire, in my opinion. It might not be for a week or a month, but make no mistake, it will die out. Now, let me get to how this was fucked up as I see it. Okay. I'm hearing conflicting information in spaces since Sunday that Trump ran on exposing the Epstein flight log list. Now, I've been very busy. I haven't had a lot of time to actually research this, mostly because I'm disinterested in it. I've not seen that claim made at any MAGA rally or anything else. Okay. I'm not now, that's not to minimize that it has importance to him. He wants justice for innocent people that have been harmed. I don't remember him ever saying that, whether it was that big ass rally at Madison Square Garden in October or it was the rally in Butler he got shot at or anything, the RNC in Milwaukee. I didn't hear him ever talk about Epstein or the flight logs at all. Okay. Now, the Democrats and the Trump haters would say, oh, it's because he's on the Epstein list. No, he just never talked about it, guys. It was all about immigration and fixing the economy, fixing our borders, the stupidity of Biden, no tax on tips, ending the war in Ukraine. That's what he was talking about. So if you have a clip or you have a news article where he actually said that, it could be on Sean Hannity or it could be at a rally or on a podcast. I would like that brought to light because I did not see that as a promises made, promises kept item. Okay. Pam Bondi. All right. Uh, she mishandled this. Even though I don't think it's a make or break thing for the presidency, she mishandled this. You can't sit back as a critical thinker and say that she covered herself in glory with this. The binder thing was her operation, and this is the part of the story, guys, where you have to separate Cash Patel and Dan Bongino from Pam Bondi. Okay, Pam Bondi is the number one lawmaker in the country. The Attorney General is the most powerful LEO on planet Earth, the Attorney General of the United States. The buck stops with her. It doesn't stop with Trump. Trump is the chief executive. He's an administrator. He's a real estate mogul, a business. He's not a prosecutor. He's not a man of law. He was never a cop. He was never a lawyer. He was never a judge. That is not. He's a very smart guy, and you'd think that well, he's been sued so many times and been in court, and he still hires lawyers. Okay, Pam Bondi was one of his lawyers during the impeachments in 2019. Okay, he has a relationship with her. He picked her for two reasons. One, she was pliable, unlike Jeff Sessions and Bill Barr in his first term. Number two, he likes attractive people. He likes good looking women that can go on. And women, those of you in here who think this is misogynistic, don't. It's the utmost compliment. Okay. He thinks an attractive woman is a good looking, is a effective woman because this is about optics and communication. He's not going to pick some woman that's in her 70s and busted to represent him on Fox News. Why Fox News? Well, because that's where his voters go for news. Boomers. Okay. My parents watch Fox News 12 hours a day. Okay. Trust me, my dad has a roster of favorites. He loves all those blondes on Fox News. Okay. He gets a shiver up his spine when he sees Ainsley Earhart or whatever those airheads names are. I don't even know. Anyway, okay, so that's strategy by Trump. Pam Bondi is really good when she goes on Hannity, or really good when she goes on Laura Ingraham. Okay, so don't minimize the importance of that. That's significant. Number two, she had to get somebody who was going to get 50 votes in the Senate. This is the reason why Matt Gaetz couldn't take the gig. He did not have the support of the Republican caucus. No, we're not even talking about no Democrat was going to vote for him. For better or for worse, the guy made a lot of enemies on Capitol Hill, actually mostly with Republicans. I mean, remember, who was responsible for ousting Kevin McCarthy from the speaker role? It was Matt Gaetz. He was the ringleader. So he's got a lot of Republicans pissed off at him. That's why he did not take the attorney general gig. He never would have gotten, if he could have, guys, he would be the attorney general right now. How can you say that what I'm saying is incorrect? Pete Hegseth has a litany of personal problems, the defense secretary, okay? Between multiple affairs, things he's written in his books, you know, questions about his military career, and he got through. RFK Jr., don't even get me started. He got through. Tulsi Gabbard, all the Democrats are mad at her because she switched sides. Okay. Think about all the controversial people in his cabinet right now that did not have an easy confirmation. All right. Even Linda McMahon was grilled about ending the Department of Education potentially. So have some healthy perspective. If Matt Gaetz could have gotten 50 or 51 Republican votes, it would have happened. He would be the AG. Okay. So John Thune said to Trump, he's not going to get the votes. JD Vance can't even break the tie. You're going to have like 40 votes with Gates at most. That's why he's not there. Bondi, because she was a state level attorney general in Florida. She was never in Washington. She was never a congresswoman. She was never a like an AG on the federal circuit in any city, even in her home state of Florida. Like, right? And she was never a judge. That's how she got that gig. And because she agreed with Trump that the most important thing we need to do is mass deportations and finding in the law where we can make that happen. Okay. That's the reason, guys. Now she mishandled this. I think she let the title go to her head. The binder rollout was stupid. She left Caroline Levitt out in the weeds yesterday. Here's where this needs to be corrected. There is a cabinet meeting today at 11 a.m., I think, or 1 p.m. Eastern. You need to go on YouTube and watch that, or on here. The DOJ guys does need to clean this up because I'm the biggest Trump shill you will ever find. Okay, the biggest sycophant of MAGA you will ever find. I have more conservative Republicans mad at me for being more of a populist, more of a JFK Republican than a Reagan conservative than I have Democrats that even follow me on here. All right. There's a lot of libertarians and Reagan conservatives, particularly from the southern states, that don't care for my northern populism. All right. Many of them. I argue with them all the time. You hear it. The Texans don't like me, don't like a lot of what I have to say. Mostly Southern Republicans don't really care for what this old Yankee has to say. Because I'm not like a Bible thumping Baptist Reagan conservative. My accent offends them. The fact that I am in a red state surrounded by blue states offends them. They don't really care for me. That's fine. I'm a big MAGA shill. I'm putting my cards on the table. That being said, the criticism's not being leveled at Trump. It's being leveled at Pam Bondi. She's not represented this well. She should have just said this was not a priority of the DOJ. Not that this was a priority of the Trump administration. She's not there to get ahead of policy from the Oval Office. Again, I'm this revisionist history where Trump said he was going to get to the bottom of the Epstein stuff. I never heard that on the campaign trail, guys. I mean, if you want to barbecue the guy for something he actually said. If you want to say when he said, I'm going to put an end to the war in Ukraine on day one, that's fair because he put that out there many times. Peace in the Middle East and Gaza, that's fair. He said that many times. No tax on tips. Well, he made that happen with the one beautiful bill. So you can't criticize him on that. That's promises made, promises kept. So what I'm saying, keep your powder dry until the administration, and it's not even the administration, guys. Doug Burgum at the Interior has nothing to do with Epstein, okay? Linda McMahon at DOE has nothing to do with this. Kristi Noem has nothing to do with this. Marco Rubio is too busy trying to prevent nuclear war right now. He has nothing to do with Epstein. Okay, so priorities, guys. The DOJ should have said that our priority is to assist ICE with mass deportations, fight against these injunctions, stopping Trump's agenda by these rogue judges and Democrats, which, by the way, she's been very effective at. And that's why she's not leaving, guys, because she's not pushing back. Trump says, you, Stephen Miller, Tom Homan, and Kristi Noem, figure out a way to get 20 million fucking people out of this country. Okay, boss, I'll get right on that. And guys, she's been good at that. She's been very effective at giving Kristi Noem and Tom Homan a lot of runway into getting their initiatives done with mass deportation. She's been working with El Salvador and stuff in the other countries about deporting these animals and getting them off of the North American continent. So I don't think she's going to resign over this, but she needs to, guys, you got to take your licks in public. And this is an optics war right now. And even though I'm not putting it at the top of my priorities, because again, I don't think Trump ever promised this. I don't know if people in MAGA are having delusions of grandeur right now, but I never heard the guy talk about the Epstein client list on the campaign trail. Not once. If I'm wrong, you guys let me know. Show me the information. Now, as far as Epstein itself, it's an abomination. Okay. Nobody here is going to say that this is not a big deal. The problem is if you just pop it in here, what I said when I opened the space, the guy is pushing up daisies. So you're not going to get any testimony from him. Hopefully he's in hell. So you're not going to get any testimony from him. Okay. Secondly, you don't need a black book with names of Democrat donors from New York and Palm Beach, Florida, that have dual U.S. Israeli citizenship that went to the island, or Bill Clinton's name that's allegedly on it, or Hollywood actors. It's all in Ghislaine Maxwell's head. So, do you really think that Epstein had like a notebook or a legal pad that had names and addresses, or even a tablet? Okay, actor John Smith, Hollywood, California, raped underage girls on the island in June of 2013. I think that's what people were expecting, that there was going to be some mass exposure there. Those type of, and I'm sorry for being graphic in the morning, guys. It's quite disgusting. But, it's straight talk because we're all adults here. I don't know if that's what the expectation of what Pam Bondi was supposed to do. I don't think such a list exists, is what I'm telling you. We have the information, but it's not compiled in a memo, friends. So let me stop there. I've said enough. Janet's got to. You guys grab a mic and tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm right if you think I'm right. This is your opportunity. I'm not here to. I don't want to argue with you. I want you to tell me, no, asshole, you've missed X, Y, and Z, and you got a lot of holes in your hull, and you need to be bailed out. So my main ire today is directed at the Attorney General.
I don't see how.
Okay. And here's the thing. She made this a problem for herself. She should have said back at I don't know when she got confirmed, February, whatever. The DOJ will continue to be diligent on the Epstein flight logs, and the FBI is investigating, and just left it at that. Not invited influences over, giving them binders with all this redacted information. She created a huge problem for herself then, not Trump, her. Okay. The buck doesn't stop with Trump on this. He's not a prosecutor. He's not an investigator. He's a delegator. This could cost her job, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. And I'll tell you that I'll tell you why after Janet goes and some other people here. But this thing that it's going to hurt Trump's base is ridiculous. I have to disagree with a lot of people on that. I'm not going to vote for Scott Brown for Senate in New Hampshire because Pam Bondi fucked up the Epstein. So I'm going to let Chris Pappas, a complete Pelosi puppet, become the next junior senator from New Hampshire, because this is insanity. This is when you guys go too far. When you say, it's a uniparty, I don't trust anybody. Fine. Vote for Democrats, because let me tell you, they're really going to give you transparency on child trafficking. I don't know about you guys, and I'm being completely sarcastic here, but when I think transparency on human trafficking, I think the Democrat Party. Give me a fucking break, guys. Grow up if this is your mindset. You're not going to vote for. So it's Tim Burchett's fault in South Carolina. It's Anna Paulina Luna's fault in Tampa Bay that this happened. This is absurd. And that's the shit I was hearing yesterday. That's what pisses me off. When you guys go too far with this crap, be pissed at Trump, be pissed at Kash Patel. But when you say you're going to take your ball and go home, There's a reason why once Trump is out of the political scene, I myself won't be a Republican because I don't want to talk to you people anymore. I'd rather talk to my children because when I hear shit like that, I feel like I'm talking to high school kids. Yes, I'm insulting you if that's your mindset. So here's your chance to roast me. Go ahead, Janet.
Well, I'm gonna
Good
start off
morning.
by saying good morning. I wasn't in the space you guys were in last night talking, so I have no idea what you guys were talking about. I was too busy. But all I wanted to
The,
add
the, u-
was,
the usual stuff, Janet. We were talking about Chase being drunk all the time and all this. The usual. I mean, it's pretty. It's pretty. We're not complex people at night. Continue.
okay. Well, I'm sorry I missed it. I was busy. I had a lot of things going on. I'm trying to get caught up from after my vacation. But I just wanted to add that during the trial for Ghislaine Maxwell, they talked about a black book and the flight logs. They never said anything about a client list or any of that type of thing. And I don't know what was in the packages that were sent out, but you're right. I feel that they all said things that they probably should never have said and acted like it was more than what it was before they even were picked. Because on Dan Bongino's show, he talked about keep an eye on the Epstein client list, keep an eye on this, keep an eye on that. So they had a lot of air to be let out, if you understand what I'm saying. Because once you step in a position where you take an oath and you have to follow rules, you have to bite your tongue. Okay. You have to, quell a few things that you say. A lot of people don't like Trump. I have half my family don't like Trump, not because of what he has done, but because they think he's got a big mouth and he never shuts up. But that's one of the reasons why I like him. Okay. Maybe I just like the troll in him or something. I don't know. But all I wanted to add was I believe almost everything that you said. I agree with it. I still believe that there's more to this story than we know right now, and that we will find out more. I really do believe that, simply because I trust Trump. I trust Trump's decisions. He's done everything he said he was going to do, and I voted for him, not the people on his cabinet. And I'm just like you. I'm 100% behind Trump right now. I mean, I don't think he's a god or anything like that, and I know he makes mistakes. And you can't know everything about someone when you put him in a position under you to help run a business. And basically, that's what he's doing. He's running our country to the best of his ability with what is at hand in front of him. Just like you, when you get married, you're marrying all the baggage that came along with your new spouse, whether you knew about it or not. And that's just something that we're going to have to see fall to the wayside, is the baggage. So I'm not going to blame Trump for that. And I'm definitely not going to say, well, fuck them. I'm not voting for anybody, blah, 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 and be a child. Every person that I've heard say those type of things, when I look back their timelines on X, they're almost all ex-DeSantis people or still DeSantis people and things like that. So I just tend, as soon as their mouth opens and something like that comes out, I just take them off my list of listening to them, because I understand why they're saying it. They were never a Trumper. That's the way I believe. But thank you for letting me speak, and I hope everyone has a wonderful morning, and God bless America.
You too. Thank you. The other thing is this, guys, is I should have said this at the get-go. I'm going to go to Threat. Let me get Summer mic'd up because she might be commuting to work right now. If you just bear with me a second, buddy, I'll get to you. But our systems are beyond broken. All right. And I made peace with that. I'm not saying it's all right, but the best thing you can do is be honest with yourself. As impressive as Bongino is, or Patel is on an individual level, you're asking them to correct 80 years of FBI malfeasance. It's an insurmountable task. And once you can accept that our systems are broken, that Trump's not going to repair them, JD Vance isn't going to repair them, et cetera, and you just hope for the best outcome, that is the best thing you could do for yourself from a mental health standpoint and a politically strategic standpoint. Okay, yes, the deep state's not going anywhere. The swamp is not going to be drained. That doesn't mean we don't do good things for people. That doesn't mean we don't give tax cuts. That doesn't mean we don't pursue peace in a denuclearized planet. You could do all that, guys. You could end the Iranian nuclear dilemma. You can make $200 billion. Sorry, $500 billion a year in tariff revenue to pay off our revenue, while still having a bunch of swamp rats in the three-letter agencies. The two things are not mutually exclusive, guys. A lot of you think that because arrests aren't being made and Fauci's not in jail, that our world is gone to shit. I don't agree with that. Fauci's 85 years old. He's going to croak eventually, guys. That's the best case scenario at this point. I don't know what to tell you. It's the same thing. Hillary Clinton's not going to spend a day in jail, guys. Once you've made peace with that, you'll be able to get on with life. Nobody said it was fair. All right? Nobody said this world is fair. It's never been designed that way. You have to accept the things you could not change, as they say in AA. I'm not an alcoholic, but I have family members that are. I know that prayer very well. And the wisdom to know the difference. A lot of you could learn a lot by going to an AA meeting, even if you're not an alcoholic, because there's a certain reconciliation in the human mind that happens when people are trying to get sober. And for people that are not learn a lot from the basics of AA. You have to start somewhere, and that's acknowledging the problem. In AA, the problem is you're an addict or you're an alcoholic. In our government, the problem is we have systems that are so corrupt and broken beyond repair. Now, we can't change that. Trump can't change that. Pam Bondi can't change that. Kash Patel can't. Tulsi Gabbard can't. J.D. Vance won't change it either. Once you've acknowledged that, then you can make true progress. Okay, what am I working with? What can I do? And so on and so forth. Go ahead, Summer.
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up. Today is actually my husband's 1-year sobriety anniversary. And if there's anything I've learned from his journey is exactly what you just said, because I can't tell you how many times over the last year he has said that exact quote, is that there are just things that, we have to accept, and they're not always good. And I think with the Epstein case, it's very emotional, which is interesting to me for a couple of reasons, because human trafficking is in your neighborhood. Human trafficking is in your schools. We're surrounded by it. It may not have a fancy ribbon that says trafficking or, a jet, but it's everywhere. Every one of those children that were brought over to this country were trafficked. If they were brought here, especially the unaccompanied minors, I haven't seen anybody that outraged about that like they are Epstein. And it's interesting. There's so much emotion tied to this right now, and myself included. I work in this field. I hear about it all the time and all day, and it makes me sick. But if you really care about trafficking, then start looking at your schools. Start looking at your neighborhoods. Start looking at your gas stations, your churches, because you are surrounded by it. You just don't realize it. And if we could get this outrage over what we have seen on X over the last 2 days, my God, we could actually make a dent in this horrific situation that really is all around us. So I just think it's interesting to me. But as far as Pam Bondi, I think she wanted to be an influencer, Dad. I think there was this, she loves going on the news and she loves talking and, putting her pretty face out there. It's almost disgusting in a way as a woman. It's like, my God, just do something. And when she did that whole debacle at the White House with the I mean, we all knew they really, you're going to give Chad, and I love Chad Prather, but you're going to give Chad Prather I mean, the guy goes on and makes funny songs about, the government, and you're really going to give him classified information. Okay. But for whatever reason, people on this app, and it really is just on this app, believe that. So yeah, it makes me giggle. But at the same time, I think you're exactly right. Thank you for being the voice of absolute reason. And to anybody and everybody who has struggled with alcoholism or drug addiction or porn addiction or any addiction, and you are overcoming that, I have the utmost respect and love for you. I have lived it my own way this last year, and I am so proud to say that my husband is a recovering alcoholic and that he has made it one full year without weed or cheap ass red wine. And I could not be prouder as a wife and as a human being. So cheers to all of you sober bitches.
Yeah, congratulations to Eric Summer. That is awesome. He's a great guy too. He doesn't talk in space as much, but he's got to be, right, because him and Summer have made quite a nice family and quite a nice life. They're very nice people, and I'm happy for your husband. That's great. I've had that. A lot of people deal with sobriety, particularly the men in my family, and as I've shared with you, my father's a very high functioning alcoholic, exceedingly high functioning, which is the reason he's got away with it, and the reason why my mother has not been more demanding that he gets sober, because he's been such a success in life. So he has a lot of enablers, and this is nothing I haven't said to him, but I mean, I'm the type of guy that could drink 15 beers and not get drunk, and I don't take advantage of that. It just never did anything for me. Being inebriated is not my thing. It never has been. I'm one of these guys that's an adrenaline junkie. And you don't get that when you're sitting on the sofa, just pounding beer or drinking whiskey. It never did anything for me. It's not my jam. God didn't make me to be an alcoholic. So it is what it is. Great stuff, Summer. Thank you. Threat, thanks for waiting, buddy.
Yeah, you bet. Good morning, everyone. I think, well, I'll start with, the whole Epstein thing. I think, and mostly speaking for myself, I think why it's such a sensitive and inflaming topic is because of what was mentioned earlier. And I've heard it, I can't remember who it was, but they made a really great comment in a space yesterday. We see it, we're seeing it as the blatant sort of in your face evidence of we have a two-tier justice system where there's an elite group of people in our country that literally get away with murder, and the rest of us, if we fart in public, we get hammered on. And so, it's terribly frustrating and angering. Now, having said that, I think what people aren't doing, because they allow their emotions to dictate or to run over their logic and reasoning. And I think what a lot of people are doing is they're not stopping and going, okay, the Trump administration again has only been literally in office for 6 months, and people are expecting that all of the world's problems should have been solved by now, which is utterly ridiculous. All of the problems in this country are not going to be solved by the completion of his first term, let alone the first 6 months. But secondly, as Trump attacks all of these issues, and some of them are dire, like our country is literally teetering on the edge of absolute complete collapse. As he's attacking, his administration is attacking all of these problems, right? They can't attack them everything all at once with the same veracity, focus, energy, and resources, because all of that stuff is finite. It has to be prioritized. And I believe the approach that the administration is taking is they're tackling the absolute top priority threats first. and they're going to work down the list, right? And a lot of these things are probably interconnected anyway. So probably a lot of the people that we all believe are connected to Epstein and should be hanging in the public square for their crimes, a lot of them are probably going to get caught up in some other things that are being investigated, and tackled by the administration. And we're just going to have to have some patience here, because it's not going to happen overnight. It can't. It's too big. It's too wide. It's too vast. But it's going to happen. I truly believe that. And last, I'll finish by saying, one of the things that I find absolutely disappointing about everybody who's just blowing up over the whole Epstein issue is, where are they in talking about the 2020 election? People, reminder, it was only a couple of months ago that Tulsi Gabbard, during a cabinet meeting, said to the president, "Mr. President, you've been right all along. We have the evidence that shows the 2020 election was stolen, and that China is behind it." And the FBI was given all of that evidence, and then they handed it over to Congress. Nobody's talking about it, but we're getting all fired up over Epstein, and we're not talking about probably the absolute and a literal act of war against your country by a foreign power meddling in your election. It's viewed in the same light as though they launched a nuke and took out New York City. That's how much of an act of war this is, and nobody's talking about it. I don't understand it, but with that, I'll that's all I got.
No, excellent point. Tulsi Gabbard's been quiet, and I think that she's chipping away at some other issues. Now the thing is that there's nothing worse than taking away the innocence of children and women that were, But again, it's the tangible change. Trump can't take away the trauma that they'll hold for the rest of their lives of the Epstein victims. Okay, those that are alive. And I actually think that another reason why he hasn't been as strong on this as some people would like is that I think the abominations that took place on this island are even worse than we know about, and I think it would create forget the Iranian uranium buildup in Iran. Okay, forget Ukraine and Russia for a second. I think when the actual truth of what occurred on that island and who was involved would set this planet into World War III. You're talking about global Armageddon, guys. Prince Andrew, I know he's been excommunicated from the royal. You're talking about a guy that's a heartbeat away from being the King of England. Okay? I'm not a fan of monarchies, but the greatest monarchy this planet's ever known. This guy is not a janitor in Westminster Abbey, guys. Prince Andrew. Okay? King of England. You don't get any more powerful than the House of Windsor. Okay? Bill Clinton, former president. Okay? 42nd president of the United States. 2 terms. Very wildly popular in the 1990s with the Democrat Party. Okay? He's been I hate him, but he's been one of the most influential presidents of the last 100 years, maybe second only to Trump. Okay? And his wife, don't even get me started. Half of Hollywood, all your favorite actors that you binge watch on Netflix, there's a handful of them, guys, that went to that island. And are you going to be able to sit through another movie with actor X or actress X when you find out what they were involved in? You can't take back all these series you binged that had this handsome actor that might be a sexual deviant that had gone to that island many times. How about Bill Gates? How about all the known impresarios in the world that were rumored to go there allegedly? That's World War III, guys. That would trigger something worse than uranium stockpiling in Iran or decimating what's left of Ukraine and what's left of Gaza. That's how critical. You're at critical mass with Epstein Island. And I think that we're talking about preventing a war that would do worse damage than any of the things I just mentioned. It's just, and that we're not even talking about the most important factor, which is the lives of children and women. I don't think there's been a lot of men trafficked, adult men, that I know about. So I'm just going to keep it to women and children. That's worse enough, guys. We don't have to speculate any further. That trauma and that innocence gone, and that bodily harm, we can never cure that. Those people will carry that the rest of their lives. I bet a lot of them don't even want to talk about it. And may everybody who was involved in that get hit by a fucking truck or die a horrible death. That's all I could say. Niece, thank you for waiting. You might be the last speaker, guys. There's no traffic today. I'm flying into work. So go ahead, Niece.
Okay, I'll make it quick because everybody's made excellent, valid points that I was going to touch on also. And Gads knows how irate I was yesterday because I actually DM'd him, and I don't do that very often because I was listening to Diligent Space. Nothing against Diligent, but man, it's an eye opener every day. And Threat, you made such a great point. I can't believe how short our memories are. If Donald Trump would not have stepped up, put his freaking life on the line, which he did, and does every day, where would we be today? Well, where are we? We're bitching about, oh no, now he's going to do amnesty. He didn't release the Epstein files. He must be on them. And now he's giving Ukraine weapons. I didn't vote for this. I'm sitting out 26. I mean, that is so idiotic. You sit out 26. It's like Gad said in the beginning. You are hurting President Trump. If he doesn't keep the House, it'll be impeachment every freaking month. It'll be nothing. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gads.
They're hurt. No, it's okay. I'm sorry. They're hurting themselves. Because if the Democrats get back in power, you might not care about you might think Trump deserves it because he didn't release the Epstein files or he's giving Ukraine weapons. I'm going to speak briefly on that when you're done, Niece, too, about Ukraine and weapons. But you're hurting yourself. Okay? The Democrats being anywhere near the ring of power in the immediate future will be the end of this country. Then you get nothing. You get no justice for the Epstein victims, and your lives will be totally fucked up. Go ahead, Niece.
That's exactly right, Gads. I mean, we've got to keep the perspective and stop falling for all this propaganda because all this crap is put out there. Unless you hear it from his mouth, don't believe this shit. It's not amnesty. That press briefing is going on right now with Bondi, Brooke Rollins, Nome, and Hegseth about the farmers extending the visas, whatever. Oh my goodness, that's terrible. We don't want that. I mean, grab a clue, people. This is not important in the grand scheme of saving this country. The man is trying to stop wars. Where we are today is phenomenal. And I had I got to look at my list because I forget because I get old. I am old. But if President Trump was on the Epstein list, don't you think that would have been splattered all over his first term in all the bullshit investigations, witch hunts they had against him? Anybody that's saying that crap is not serious. They're not serious people. That's why I come to Gad's space and very few spaces anymore, because I can't listen to the bullshit on our side, the histrionics, the pearl clutching. And I think a lot of it's monetization. And, what does that tell you about somebody? Think about that. Look at the character. Put all that crap past us. We're fighting for country, for patriotism. I don't have kids, but by golly, if I did, I'd be fighting for my grandkids. And I can't understand other people that don't. And maybe they've got too much time in their life to not understand the reality of where we are, how blessed we are. And I will never throw this man under the bus. unless he comes out of his mouth and it doesn't set right with me. And I don't see that happening because he's guided by God. And I believe that 100%. So thank you, Gads, for keeping it real as you always do. Thank you for taking the time to put on these reality spaces, not the fucking theater that we see every single day in governance and on this app. So I really, really appreciate it, Gads.
Oh, thank you. Much appreciated. Yeah, that was a good DM you sent me. And I don't disagree with the what you sent me, your thoughts on it. I mean, I think people are I understand about being upset for a day or two. Here's a few unanswered questions. I still don't get I think that there is a leaker in the DOJ, hence the Axios story. That memo, which was not dated or signed, but evidently Caroline Levitt corroborated it as the where the DOJ stands. That cabinet meeting today, you need to watch. I don't. That needs to be discussed. Usually in a cabinet meeting, it's all the secretaries that are in country right now. Yeah, if Rubio's overseas, he won't be there, for example. But it's the CIA director. It'll be Ratcliffe, Tulsi, Kash Patel, probably Lee Zeldin, EPA. It's all the heavy hitters of the administration. Usually at the end, Trump will allow the press to say a few things. They will probably ask him about this. If Peter Ducey from Fox News is there, he will ask about it. But Caroline was left to the weeds yesterday. It was probably the only time in her career she was woefully unprepared. All right. And I've met her 3 times. She never forgets a name, a face, what town people are from, etc. She was unprepared. The DOJ needs, here's where I think all the complainers, Niece, are correct. Just in terms of being a professional, the Attorney General and the Department of Justice at large need to put out a statement, not let Caroline's failed attempt at kicking the can down the road, because that's what it was. You got to call balls and strikes. She wasn't prepared to answer that. I don't think she had a grasp on the department's actual stance. President Trump put out a truth last night, commending Kash and Dan for the work of the FBI. They're going back to the basics, crime fighting, right? Notice how Pam Bondi was missing from that. And for some reason, they're getting grouped together. The FBI director, the deputy FBI director, and the attorney general. I don't think he's happy with how she's handling things, but he's kind of got to swallow the good with the bad, because I do believe she's doing good work with deportations. She's not pushing back. She's doing everything Trump wants in that regard. That is the most important thing in this administration, is making our country safe again. It wasn't the Epstein flight logs. Again, I felt like I teleported to a parallel universe Sunday night when people were saying this is going to cost him. I heard this is going to cost JD Vance the election in 20. Guys, you won't even most people who were complaining about it yesterday won't even be thinking about it on July 8th, 2026. We all know that, but now the dust is settling. There's still a lot of stuff out, in the ether that needs to be. The I's need to be dotted, crossed, and I's need to be dotted. We're in that phase, cleanup phase, and we haven't gotten a good cleanup not from the administration. Prosecutions. Trump, not JD Vance, not Melania Trump, not Caroline Levitt, not Marco Rubio. They have nothing to do with the bandwidth of the DOJ. Trump does not give Pam Bondi a home. Okay, here's your assignment for today. Arrest these illegals, these Guatemalans in Chicago. Prosecute these people trafficking fentanyl into Miami. He doesn't give her like a fucking homework assignment every day, guys. He's saying, okay, you're the lawyer, Pam. You kept me from being impeached in 2019 over the perfect phone call. You figure it out. You're the lawyer. I'm the president. You handle the prosecutions and investigations. I'll handle keeping the world from entering a fucking thermonuclear war. Okay? So that's why he's a delegator, as all good presidents are, as all good businessmen are. His priority is making sure she gets her shit together. Right now, she doesn't, on this issue, guys, she doesn't have her shit together. She's not handled it well. And he has to give her an opportunity to make this right. Not for her own reputation only, but for the Department of Justice. So that's a fair criticism. In my opinion, it's fair. You guys might say, oh, you're still being dramatic about it. That's fine too. Then we agree to disagree. Just I as a taxpayer would like a little more of a professional rollout than an Axios leak that wasn't dated, didn't have a fucking name on it, etc. How about the fact that PDF was not available on the Axios website like an hour later? Okay, everybody's saying this whole thing doesn't sound like Trump because it's not him, guys. It's her. He might be chaotic in press conferences and talking. His administration and how he does things is anything but chaotic. So if it sounds odd, and it's not because Trump is compromised, it's not because Epstein had pictures of him with a 17-year-old girl on his lap at one of his golf courses, which is, I think, what a lot of people really just want to find. You know, they have such a fucking hard on to find dirt on this guy. Not Democrats, Republicans. They want their comfort. They want to be validated that this guy is corrupt, because the world is not getting fixed in the manner that they want to see it fixed. So therefore, Trump is a sexual deviant. He has to be, okay? Because he hasn't released the names of 50 Democrat lawyers whose names you don't even fucking know that went to Epstein's island. So therefore, Epstein has to have a picture of him groping some underage girl. Has to be the case, because I'm a really smart person and I could blow my load on a Twitter space. Christ, guys, we're in the midst of fucking amateur hour right now. We really are. And I congratulate those of you that have the patience to get through it, because I got to tell you, my patience is wearing thin. And I thank you all for listening, and I'm sorry I couldn't get any more mics. I'm about to roll up into the job here. So you guys have a wonderful day. Keep me in the loop. If I didn't get to you, DM me your thoughts, and maybe tomorrow or the next day I'll do a follow-up space. And I see like Apothecary and stuff. If you could make it, I'll get you to the top of the food chain with speakers. You guys have a wonderful day. Let me know if you disagree with me in a DM. Yell, I like to be challenged, and I like people to tell me I'm wrong, because I might be. Have a good one. Cheers.
If you wear nice clothes, people think you're showing off. If you wear simple clothes, people think you're poor. If you speak your mind, you're rude. If you stay quiet, then you're a coward. If you're successful, then you're arrogant. And if you're struggling, then you're lazy. You see, no matter what you do in life, people will always have something to say. So ignore people and their opinions. Because so long as your God is pleased with you, who cares what people think?